Okay, moving on to the next agenda topic, which is a SSERVI update. We actually have a bit of a program change, and we'll have Greg Schmidt with us today. So take it away, Greg.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelsey. It's appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to talk about SSERVI with all of you. I want to start with an enormous thanks to my deputy, Christina, for her leadership with all of these LSSW meetings, as well as, of course, Ricky. And also to say that in the last 13 months or so, we were lucky and privileged to help the community in the way that we have. It's been a pleasure to do that. Virtual, of course, is in our name, and we have some strengths in that. And it's just been a real honor to help the community through events like this. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so I want to start off with the item that we will certainly get questions on, and that's planning for the next opportunity, next cooperative agreement notice. We have been talking with headquarters about this. We're going to be having an increased focus on equity, diversity, inclusion, language on this in this can, and we expect the release is going to be sometime in the first quarter of 2022 or thereabouts. So that is something that is under active discussion right now. We have our big event coming up later this year. We have a senior review in planning right now. This is going to be the first comprehensive review in the history of the Institute since we started as NLSI and have continued as SSERVI. It's being chartered by NASA headquarters. Amanda Nam is the lead for that, and the chairs are Cindy Evans and Chip Shearer, who you all know well. The review date is set now for August 26th of this year. We're busily finishing up all the data that we're sending to the committee in various installments. And then a final report is going to be submitted to headquarters in mid-November of this year. I want to point out our focus groups. We do have a lot of our activity in our SSERVI-sponsored focus groups. One in particular that's had quite a bit of activity in the last, I would say, 6 to 9 months, something like that, is our equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility focus group. I personally want to say that for me personally, as well as for a lot of people in SSERVI, there's nothing more important in terms of what we're doing right now, widening our reach and widening the community through efforts with the EDIA focus group. And I'm just so pleased and honored that Jay Greer has agreed to lead this and is just doing a fantastic job. We also have a lot of efforts going on with the analogs, volatiles, and then dust, atmosphere, and plasma focus groups. I'll talk about a new proposed one in the next slide. But then I also want to say that we have decided to join forces with our European partners this year, and we're conducting a joint conference. And this is going to be the NASA Exploration Science Forum, our normal July meeting, as well as the European Lunar Symposium. It's July 20th through 23rd, 4 days. And thank you to all of you who submitted abstracts. We had a record number of abstracts submitted to this meeting, and they are being turned over to the SOC within the next day or two, and so we'll have a program out in a handful of weeks. Could we move to the next slide, please? One thing that I want to note is at NASA Ames, close to SSERVI headquarters, we're adding a new test bed. And this was initiated, the idea came from discussions that we had with one of our PIs, Dan Britt, who told us that he had quite a lot of anorthosite that had been mined up in Greenland. actually. And so we have built a test bed, and the north site is actually in the truck right now, and somewhere in the middle of the country, and we'll be arriving at Ames on Monday. Our plan is to load that into this test bed, which you see here in the upper picture, and have that as available to support the Viper mission. And this is in a darkened room, and one of the first tasks is going to be taking a look at lighting. And as all of you know, a northosite is a very different thing than JSC-1A, which is what we have in the other simulant test bed. So we're very excited about this, and I want to mention that this, as with the other test bed, is available to the entire community. I had talked about the focus groups. We also have an exploration science focus group that has been proposed. And I wanted to mention that because we have been very privileged to be helping our headquarters sponsors and others with integrating science information that's useful for lunar surface science exploration issues. So we will charter that sometime in the coming months. And just to emphasize, these focus groups are available to the entire community. You don't have to be SSERVI funded to join them, and I highly encourage those listening here to join this. Next slide, please. I want to give in my remaining time here just a handful of highlights here of some of the things that we've been doing. Starting off, something that's extremely cool and something we've been interested in for some time is an augmented reality application for data visualization that takes data on individual rocks and overlays it on top of the rocks. And one can imagine that this would be very useful for astronauts, for field science on the Earth, but eventually for astronauts, and helping them decide which rocks might be of interest for collection. Our lab, headed by the PI Jeff Gillis Davis, has been testing some cold sample storage technologies that are going to be quite useful when we have return samples from the lunar poles. So that's an important effort that's going on. And I mentioned Dan Britt's work earlier. He and his team lead the Exolith Lab at University of Central Florida, and they're working on agglutinates, but as well as a number of different simulants. And they are the world's largest provider of simulants for the community, and we encourage you strongly to work with them. Gone are the days when it was just JSC-1A. These can be tailored to your individual needs. Next slide, please. So we had contributed to the initial development of a software suite. It's called EVA Mission System software. This is through the Tim Glotch lab. Our impact team at University of Colorado, Mihai Hirani's team, is developing a new dust mitigation method, which is based on dust lofting studies that have been undertaken. Our team at Stony Brook, Tim Glotch's team, has been working on toxicity of dust regolith to make it more accurately represent the respirable lunar regolith. And then our PI at Goddard, Rosemary Killen, has determined that almost any lunar landing will release enough gases to form a admittedly very thin but temporary lunar atmosphere. There's an interesting paper that's out on that. Next slide, please. And our PI in Georgia, Tom Orlando, has developed a novel indirect solar receiver for thermal extraction of water that's actually quite a bit more efficient than other methods. And I note that I'm running out of time, so I think I'm just going to stop right there. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Greg. That was great. A lot of content and looking forward to the annual meeting this year.
Thank you.